I put a little windbreak over there up for my animals. I just put the cornstalk bales over there. So here at about 6 p.m. today, the wind is supposed to switch over to the southwest, and then it is going to get very cold very fast, starting at about 6 p.m. today. And the temperatures are going to be plummeting until through Tuesday. So it is going to get very cold with wind chill. It's supposed to get down to 1 degree Fahrenheit, so nearly zero with wind chill. It's going to get very cold. And so I got a lot of stuff ready to go. Here in the next 3 days, I would think that I'm just getting myself ready to have my grass die. My grass is probably going to die. And so I put this windbreak over here. I stacked a whole bunch of cornstalk bales over that way because the wind is, so that way is north. That way is north, and so southwest is, that means that the wind is going to be blowing almost directly into the barn. And the wind is supposed to have a wind chill of 1 degree Fahrenheit. And it's supposed to be blowing at 30 miles an hour. And so the wind is going to be coming in real hard, and it's going to be coming in real cold. It says the Weather Channel was saying 30 miles an hour, 1 degree wind chill at southwest. And so the wind is going to be blowing very hard. It's going to be blowing very cold. And so I got a windbreak put up for the animals, and I got some cornstalk bales put out here for the animals as well. And so these cornstalk bales, what they are is roughage material. And so the big plan for for this farm right now over these next few days, when it's going to get very cold and it's going to get very windy, and my grass is probably going to die. Okay, I'm just getting myself ready to have my grass die. And okay, so when it comes to cattle diet, the big idea with cattle diet for me is to put them on a diet that's about 65% TDN with a variable protein depending on what stage of development the animal's in. Like if I have a nursing mama cow, that's going to be different, right? If I have a small stocker animal, that's going to be different. If I'm backgrounding a larger animal, that's going to be different, right? And so the big idea for my farm right now, I would say that the average weight of my herd is somewhere around 500-600 pounds. And so I would want to give them somewhere around a 12% protein and about 65% TDN. And so the big idea is that the TDN, I will be supplementing their TDN with whole corn, and I'm going to be mixing that whole corn with a multivitamin pack. So I'm going to give them a vitamin pack with their corn. I'm going to give them peanut hay as a protein supplement, and then I'm going to give them free choice roughage to just give them something to reduce the amount of TDN and protein that they are having in their diet. Because if I just feed them straight peanut hay and straight corn, they are going to be getting too much energy and too much protein. It's going to cause acidosis. Even if I limit feed it to them, they're going to have problems. And so I'm giving them the cornstalk bales as a source of roughage to reduce the amount of TDN and energy in their the amount of energy and protein in their diet. And then I can also utilize my energy supplement to give them their multivitamin pack. And so when it comes to cattle diet, it's important to remember that there are many right answers, right? There are many ways to get the right answer, but there are also a lot of wrong answers. You know, you got to have somewhat of an idea as a cattleman, especially when running cattle. You got to have somewhat of an idea of how cattle's diet works. You know, whether it be you're feeding them some sort of a roughage type grass material and a dry distiller grains. It could be soybean hay and it could be soybean hay mixed with corn and a vitamin supplement. It can be a lot of different things. There are a lot of different ways to get the right answer, but you want to make sure that you're somewhat in the right answer. You don't want to be there are wrong answers too. I know that is a very hard, that may be a very hard pill for people to swallow, but there are wrong answers too. And so there are a lot of right answers. There are a lot of wrong answers as well. And so as a cattleman, you got to have a good idea, somewhat of an idea how to operate the cattle's diet. Somehow keep a good eye on the animal's diet. And so right now, what I have available is I have these cornstalk bales, and I'm gonna give them about 1.5% of their body weight a day in peanut hay and corn. And so I'm gonna mix the peanut hay with corn. More than likely I'll do 3 parts peanut hay and 1 part corn, and I'll give them about 1.5% of their body weight. I'll start them off on that and I'll see what happens. And the corn, I will also mix in their vitamin pack with it. And so that's the plan to get me through. I'm probably gonna have to keep these animals on a total mixed ration for about 2 weeks. And that's also why I put the cornstalk bales over there, because for right now it's going to act as a windbreak, so the animals are going to get a chance to, or an opportunity, if they're going to be able to get out of the wind. I don't want them sitting there and it be blowing 30-mile-an-hour 1-degree wind on them, right? I mean, if they're sitting there and it's 1 degree Fahrenheit outside and the wind is blowing at 30 miles an hour, I don't just want them sitting in it. And so that's why I put but a lot of animals are gonna die this weekend. If y'all keep an eye on the cattle market and stuff like that, I would just be ready. A lot of animals are gonna die this weekend. A lot of people are gonna die this weekend. It's gonna get very cold, and it's gonna get very miserably cold across the entire southeast side of the country. And so a lot of animals are gonna die this weekend, and a lot of people are gonna die this weekend too. It's gonna get very cold, and the last time it got this cold, water lines were blowing up all over the place. I mean, electrical systems were going down. I mean, there were entire neighborhoods that didn't have electricity for like 2 weeks. And so, you got to be ready. I mean, just be ready. I mean, it doesn't take a lot to just put a couple of things of water away, right? And, it doesn't, at the end of the day, you're not going to be some doomsday prepper, right? Because you put enough water away to just last you for 2 weeks. I mean, you should just be ready. Just be ready. It's going to get very cold, and it's going to get very cold. And so there are going to be a lot of problems that happen this weekend. I can almost guarantee it. And so I got everything situated. I got a windbreak put up for the animals. And the thing about the windbreak is that for this weekend, it'll be a windbreak, but once the animals have eaten these 3 bales of corn stalks, I can actually pull the net wrap off of these bales, and I can feed these bales to them as well. And so here, after the wind has passed, I would anticipate that it's going to take about 2 weeks for my grass to grow back, and I'll be able to keep these animals. I'll just be able to pull the net wrap off of these bales, and I'll be able to feed the animals I have enough feed back here to last these animals for about 2 weeks, and I still have enough feed in the front to last the animals for about another 2 weeks. And so I have enough roughage material to last me about 1 month, probably even longer, maybe about 2 months. And so I have enough feed materials put away to get myself through the whole reason for me. So these corn stalk bales, I bought these bales, and it cost me about $40 a bale delivered, and each bale's about half a ton. And so I paid about $80 for a tonnage of it delivered. And in the future, I've been looking at different opportunities for cattle diets, and I'm thinking maybe what I'll do in the future, well, I don't know, maybe I could stick to the corn stalk bales. Maybe I could change myself over to a roughage type grass material and feed the animals distiller grains. But it really depends on what is happening with the commodities market. Depending on what is happening with the commodities market, and depending on what opportunities I have in my local market, I will formulate my idea and my plans according to what is happening in the environment around me. And so I just have a rough idea of what needs to happen in my head, and then when the moment occurs, I make the choices then, right? I make the choices then. And it's the same way with everything. Oh, okay, so my plan right now is to put 10 pounds of ammonium sulfate and urea mixture on my field per acre, because I anticipate that I'm going to get 1 inch of rain. But then I keep an eye on the rain channel, or I keep an eye on the weather channel, and the weather channel is now saying I'm going to get 2 days of rain, and I anticipate now that I'm going to get 2 inches of rain. And if I get 2 inches of rain over a week, I won't be able to put, if my plan was to put 10 pounds of nitrogen on my field a week, I won't be able to get back out on my field for the second week to put another 10 pounds of nitrogen on my field, right? And so at that moment in time, okay, maybe I need to put 20 pounds on my field. Maybe I need to put 20 pounds on my field, and if I put 20 pounds on my field and my grass is in the middle to late state of vegetation, maybe my animals are going to have bloating issues on it. And so maybe I need to limit feed the grass, right? These are things that I just need to have a rough idea of. There are many solutions to many things that happen in life, and as long as I have a rough idea of what needs to occur, when the moment happens, I can I can make the call then. And so yesterday, actually for the last 2 days, as just a mental, because I'm trying to keep my mind thinking about something productive while I'm sitting here, because I'm not going to be able to bring in animals when it's 0 degrees outside. Okay, I just have to wait. I mean, there's nothing else that I can do. I can't just make it warm. And so I've been taking and the sale barns are going to be problem. They're either going to be closed or they're going to be very slow. And so I won't be able to go and buy animals anyway. And so I've been running my business plan. I've been taking a second look at my business plan. I said, okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to make an entirely new business plan. I'm going to make an entirely new business plan to see if maybe I'm overlooking something. I'm going to think about what I'm thinking about. This is something that I do. I think about what I'm thinking about. And so, I do this. I like to do this with myself every once in a while. I just take a step back from what I'm doing and try and look at my life from 10,000 feet away, right? What if I had to come up with an entirely new idea? What if I had to leave my cave? What if I had to come up with an entirely new idea? I just did not stick to what I'm thinking about, right? And so I actually came up with, I didn't think that this, the first business plan that I came up with, I didn't really like it, because the first business plan that I came up with that was different than the business plan I'm running it now is to maximize my leverage so that I can purchase so what if I looked, instead of buying specifically agricultural property, what if I bought somewhat of like a commercial flex property, right? What if I paid $25,000 an acre instead of paying $5,000 an acre, and I purchased what if I paid $25,000 an acre instead of $8,000 an acre, and I bought myself a commercial flex piece of property, so a piece of property that had a very good location. What if I did that, and then I just held on to the property and utilized the appreciation in the property to put money in my pocket, instead of utilizing cattle to create cash flow for me? So instead of utilizing cash flow from the cattle to put money in my pocket, I'm more focused on utilizing the appreciation of a high-end property to put money in my pocket. And I didn't really like that idea, because then I'm kind of stuck in a situation where if the market does not go up in a vertical line, I have a lot of problems. And if I do not, I'm always going to be on death's door in terms of cattle, because I will always have to make enough money to cover my debt service so that I can hold on to this piece of property that I have maximum leverage in, and then just hope that it goes up, right? And if it does go up, I would make a lot of money. But if it doesn't go up, I would be in a very, very problematic situation. And if my cattle did not go perfectly right, I would also be in a very, very bad situation. And so that idea I did not really like. I do not like the idea of utilizing maximum leverage to purchase a commercially viable property in the hopes that I can I maximize my leverage, and I have just enough, and I need to always make enough money running the cattle to put in to cover my debt service, so that I can hold on to the property with the just keeping my fingers crossed and hoping, right? Because when I list down what is my biggest advantage, right? Like, what is it why do I have such a grand advantage in what I do, right? Like, why am I doing so much drastically better than most people? And it's because I have such a large capacity to grow grass. My grass is phenomenal. I have a very good idea of what needs to happen on my field. Okay, if I put this much fertilizer on my grass and I grow this cultivar grass, and I have this many warm degree days and warm degree day hours on my grass, and my grass is in this stage of development, and I have this weight animal, I have a very good idea of what needs to happen in terms of grass, so that I have enough grass to make a lot of money. So grass is my number one advantage. And I always say, focus, do not worry about any other person's advantage. For me, my big goal is always to just maximize my advantage. Like, if I'm bad at math and I'm bad at English and I'm bad at everything else, it doesn't matter. If I have one advantage, that is just extremely advantageous. I grow grass in the top 0.00001% of humankind. I'm in like the if I was put on a field, on a 10-acre field with 10,000 people who also grow grass, there is a possibility that I am the best. There is a possibility that I am the best in this one aspect, just the grass. Then I focus on just that. I do not worry about anything else. I do not worry about not being good at math. I do not worry about not being good at English. I don't worry about anything else. I just focus on the one thing that I'm very, very, very good at. I always say, always focus on the advantage. Always focus on the advantage and always play towards the advantage. And so when I look at, so my new business plan, what I've come up with was this, because when I focus on my advantage, it is very easy for me to make $3,000 a month. But if I go from making $3,000 to $6,000 a month, it's not really going to change my life, and the difficulty goes up drastically. If I look to go, like, let's say I make $7,000 a month, right? If I go from making $7,000 a month to making $10,000 a month, it's not going to change my life. It's not really going to change my life. One of my big things is always don't focus on don't sweat the small stuff, right? Don't sweat the small things. If I go from making $7,000 a month to making $10,000 a month, it's not going to change my life. But if I go from having to make $3,000 a month to make $6,000 a month, the difficulty is going to go up drastically. The difficulty will go up drastically if I'm going to try and make that kind of money on a 10-acre field. But if I make $3,000 a month here, very simply, I just make it very simple, and I make $3,000 a month here extra, I can take the $3,000 a month, take it to a bank, and they will lend me about $500,000-$600,000 on that $3,000. If I take $3,000 a month, the bank will say, okay, this guy obviously, this guy makes enough money that we can lend him $500,000-$600,000 for the $3,000. And if I take that, if I just make the $3,000 here and I cover the debt service, if I make the $3,000 here and I cover the debt service on the $500,000-$600,000, I can go and purchase myself 75 acres, 50 to 75 acres. And if I purchase 50 to 75 acres, I'm not talking about making $3,000 to $6,000 a month. I'm talking about making $35,000 to $50,000 a month. $35,000 to $50,000 gross, and maybe I do $15,000 to $20,000 net. Maybe I'd be putting about $15,000 to $20,000 a month into my pocket at the end of the day. And so that would change my life. That would change my life. I'm not going to sit here and fiddle fart with this idea of, oh man, if I really do all of this stuff, I can make $6,000, right? Instead of making $3,000, I can make $6,000. Instead of making $36,000 a year, I can make $72,000. It's not, either way, it's not going to change my life. If I make $85,000 a year, it's not going to change my life that I'm making $120,000. It's not going to change my life. But if I go from making 85 to making 350, because if I bring home $15,000 to $20,000 a month on that other farm, I could also bring home another $3,000 a month here. And then I also, if I can go from making $85,000 a year to making $325,000 a year, that would change my life. And so that's when I was reconsidering my business idea, I actually, I was looking to see if I was overlooking anything, and I actually overlooked something very big. And the thing that I overlooked was that I'm sitting here fiddle farting, like going through this extreme mental struggle about how to make an extra $3,000 a month when I'm missing out on the big opportunity. Don't focus on going from making $36,000 to making $72,000. Focus on going from $36,000 to $325,000. Because if I make this $3,000 a month, $3,000 a month here, if I just make $3,000 a month here, I have enough money to take a $500,000-$600,000 loan from the bank, and I can use the $3,000 a month here to cover the debt service from the bank. And if I take that $500,000-$600,000 and I purchase myself 50, 75 acres, I could genuinely put myself in a situation where I make an additional $250,000 a year. And if I put the $85,000 a year that I'm making on top of that $250,000, I'd be making like $325,000 a year take-home pay. Now that would change my life, and that, that's one thing that that I actually I was yesterday for the last 2 days. It was actually the last 48 hours, 72 hours or so. I was just trying to think about what I'm thinking about. That was my big idea, was I'm just gonna take a step back from what I'm doing and reconsider everything. I'm gonna go over my business plan. I'm gonna make myself a new business plan. And then when I took a step back and I sat there and I looked at my business plan, I said, what am I doing? I'm sitting here fiddle farting, having like this massive mental struggle about trying to make myself an extra $3,000 a month. I'm like having this do or die struggle with myself about making an extra $3,000, and I'm completely overlooking the opportunity for me to make an extra $30,000. So if I just make an extra $3,000 a month here, I can utilize that money to cover the debt service for about a $500,000-$600,000 loan. And if I take a $500,000-$600,000 loan, I can purchase about 50, 75 acres. And at that point, I can make myself an extra $250,000. I can be bringing home like $350,000, $325,000 a year. Genuinely. And I would be at very, very, very minimal risk, because I would be playing drastically towards my advantage. If I were just going to try and make $3,000 a month here growing grass and running cattle, it would be, grass is my #1 advantage. The thing that I am just obscenely good at, one thing that I'm just very, very, very good at is growing grass. And so if I can play towards that advantage, I just need to grow enough grass to run enough cattle to make $3,000 a month. My life becomes very easy. Like very easy. It's like, oh my God, I don't even have to worry about anything anymore. I don't have to put myself in this life or death struggle to go from making $3,000 to making $6,000. I can just make the $3,000 here, do it very easily, take the $3,000 a month and purchase myself 50, 75 acres. And when I purchase my 50, 75 acres, I can utilize the money that I'm making here to cover the debt service until I'm able to produce a cash flow on that farm. And when I get cash flow going on that farm, I can genuinely put myself in a situation where I'm making like $325,000 a year. And that's what I need to be thinking about. I don't need to be sitting here thinking about, oh my God, if I do this, and then I do that, and then I do this, and I do that, and then I do this, I'll make an extra $3,000 a month. I don't need to be doing that. If I just make $3,000 a month, it doesn't matter if I make $3,000 a month or if I make $6,000 a month. The quality of life that I have is going to be about the same. It's going to be about the same. And so it's not really going to change my life to go from making $3,000 a month to making $6,000. It's just not. And so, that's my new business plan right now, is to just, play to my advantage. Play to my advantage. Make the $3,000 a month. Do it very easily. Make the $3,000 a month and take that money and just take a loan for $500,000-$600,000. And then if I use the money that I make here to cover the debt service on $500,000-$600,000, I can purchase 50, 75 acres. And when I have 50, 75 acres, I can run more cattle over there, and I can genuinely put myself in a situation where I'm making like $325,000. So that's my new business plan, and that's what I'm going to be doing for the year. I've changed my business plan, and I'm gonna go. That's going to be the direction that I head towards, and that's going to be my big goal for the year. But that's it from me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one.